Hi everyone and welcome to the third episode of Locker Room Talks, where we discuss some interesting NHL news and events. And today we're going to discuss players voting for different nominations and some whispers around Yevgeniy Kuznetsov. So we'll start off with players voting. NHLPA made some votes about different questions, and they had several of them, and I have five the most interesting, in my opinion, votings among the players. And the first one is the most underrated player in the NHL. The NHL players called as the most underrated player Alexander Barkov. And I don't agree with that. I disagree because, this man has a C at his chest. He has a salary like 10 millions per season, and you call this man an underrated? Maybe I just don't know how this works, but in my opinion, Alexander Barkov is fairly rated. Maybe he's slightly underrated, but he's not the most underrated player in the NHL. That's obvious because, this player has real good team, and he cannot make the difference because how many times did you see Panthers in the second round? I don't remember, but they obviously not a cup contender team while they have this man. Barkov is a great player, that's obviously because he can shoot, he can pass. I don't say that he's universal, but he's really good player, great experienced player, and he has his name around the NHL, but he's not underrated, in my opinion. In my opinion, the most underrated player in the NHL is Jean-Gabriel Pageau. This man, this season, he has 61 games, 12 goals, and 23 assists. Why this man is underrated, in my opinion? I think that Jean-Gabriel Pageau can do everything. He's playing at the bottom six of New York Islanders, and he has real good numbers. I mean, 35 points for the bottom six player. That's really great, and he can defense. He really can do some dirty job like short-handed plays. He can play at power play if you want him to. He can shoot, he can pass, he can do whatever you ask him to do. So he has not enough credit around the league, in my opinion, because he is really great player. He can skate, he has some handles. Obviously he's not a Patrick Kane if we speak about handles, but he's really great player, and I want him to I want some coach to try to play him at the top lines. He played at Senators before the Islanders, and he had some great playoff run when Senators lost in the conference final to the Pens. He was one of the key players of the team. And now he has a salary like 5-6 millions a season, and for this kind of player, maybe that's slightly overpaying because for the bottom six players, in my opinion, 3-4 millions is enough, not 5-6. But he's really great player, and if I would be a general manager of Islanders, I would give him the whole 5 or 6 millions. And in my opinion, he is the most underrated player in the NHL. The second interesting vote was who is the best stick handler in the NHL, and the players called Patrick Kane with more than 50% of their votes for him. And I agree with that. I totally agree with that because, even if we speak about now, about this period of his career, he is really great stick handler. But if we will come back to his prime era with Blackhawks, there was some different level of stick handling. And his shootouts, his passes, his shots, he really can handle the puck. At the second place, players ranked Connor McDavid, but I don't agree with that because, he's just fast. He cannot control the puck that good as Patrick Kane, and that's why Kane won this vote. So I guess I don't have something to add to that vote. Next voting called if you have to choose one goalie for one game to win it at 100% chance, who would you have? Most of the players choose Andrei Vasilevsky for that role, but I would choose Jussi Saros, and I'll tell you why. Big Cat is always a big cat, and we are not doubting his greatness, we are not doubting his skills right now. But in my opinion, if we have to choose one goalie for one game, Jussi Saros could be the best possible choose. Why? Jussi is the guy who can do insane saves during one game and then lose everything in the next game. And in my opinion, Jussi Saros is the player who really can carry the team in single taking game. And that's why I think if Nashville will make the playoffs, they have some chance because of Jussi Saros. So why would I choose Saros over the Vasilevsky? Andrei is a great goalie. We are not doubting him. But, Jussi is just the guy who is younger. So that means that he can give his full in the single game. And that's why Andrei is better on distance. Because he's more experienced, he has better technique or something like that. But Jussi is really the best possible choose for the one game, in my opinion, only in my opinion. The next vote was for the most universal player, and players chose Sidney Crosby. I slightly agree with that, but then I thought about Sebastian Aho, and I can rate him as an underrated player, one of the most underrated players, but I will rate him as the most universal player because this season, 63 games, 27 goals, 38 assists. Isn't that a universal player? I mean, Sidney, he is really great. He can shoot, he can pass, he can do whatever you want. He can do power play, he can play it short-handed. But Sebastian Aho, in my opinion, he's slightly better at the face-offs. And he's more like, he's more vision guy. If Sid can do some things that Aho cannot do, I mean, Sid can redirect the puck in front of the net better than Sebastian Aho. But in my opinion, Aho is slightly better. The only advantage that Sid has over him is experience and accolades. But if we speak about right now in this position where Canes at the top of their division and their conference and the Penguins is fighting for their wild card spot, I guess Sebastian Aho is better choose for the universal player. And the last one that I choose as one of the interesting votes is the best defenseman. Players choose Cale Makar. And that's where I just thought like, what? Cale Makar? Are you for real, guys? Because, he is great player. There's no doubt in it. He led the Avalanche to their cup last season. But, he's not a defender. He's great attacker. He can do something at the offensive zone. But when it comes to the defensive, there's always Devon Toews who carrying him if we speak about defense. Because, how do they judge the players? They judge them through their stats. They looking through their stats, and defenders not playing alone. They have a second defenseman in their pair. So Makar played all season, last season, with Devon Toews, who is like defensive defenseman. If we speak about Makar, he's offensive defenseman, Toews is defensive defenseman. And while Makar is playing somewhere behind the net, while he's trying to do some goals and assists, Devon Toews just waiting for him at the blue line He's carrying the whole defensive zone work. And that's why they thinking like Cale Makar is really great. He has great on ice goal difference. That's plus 39. But no, guys, that's not how it works. He's great attacker. He's a great offensive player, but he's not a fully defenseman. That's why I think he's not the best defenseman in the league. And who I think the best defenseman in the league is Charlie McAvoy. And if we speak about on ice goal difference, he has the exactly same numbers as Cale Makar this season. And if they called Makar as the best defenseman, I guess we can call Charlie McAvoy as the best defenseman. Why not? But McAvoy is not that. He's not that crackhead in the offense. He'll always think about his defensive zone, and that's why I love him, because he's playing with his brain, and he realizes that if he will lose the puck in the offensive zone, there will be only one defenseman, and his main job is not to score, is not to assist. His main job, his main goal is to not let the opposite offensive players to score and even to shoot sometimes. So that's why I think Charlie McAvoy is better than Cale Makar, and he's the best defenseman right now in the league. Also, I thought about Fox from Rangers, but I don't think with that. And also one really good thing about McAvoy and Makar. McAvoy is playing short-handed and power play. I don't remember Cale Makar playing short-handed games. For real, I don't remember that. And that's why I think McAvoy is the best defenseman. But if we speak about offensive possibilities, Cale Makar is really great. So, and the second topic and last for today is Yevgeniy Kuznetsov and some whispers. There are some whispers that Yevgeniy Kuznetsov wants to be traded from the Caps. And there are some whispers saying that he asked to trade from Caps during the last 2 seasons. That's just not going right in my head. If you ask your team to trade you like 2 years straight and they cannot do that, I guess you have something to do with that. Because if you don't want to play with them, you don't have to. Yeah, you have some contract. Like there are some rules in that. And if you're really a professional, if you don't want to play, you will, because this is your team. I guess I know the reason why Yevgeniy Kuznetsov wants to be traded from the Caps, and that's not the brightest future in the NHL. That's not their problems as of right now, because I think Caps won't make the playoffs. I think that's because of Alex Ovechkin and his record. And I'll tell you why. I know that they are really great friends with Ovi. Kuzi and Ovi, they're Russian, both Russian, and they really have to be friends. And if we look at game style of Yevgeniy Kuznetsov, he's not a playmaker, he's a shooter, he's a sniper. And while Ovi is trying to break in his record, all team have to play for Ovi. All team. And that's obvious. We all see that. Even the owner of the Caps say that. And Kuznetsov is not a playmaker. He wants and he can score some goals. But he just has no opportunity to do that. And if he is asking for a trade for 2 seasons straight, I thought why he's doing that. Because 3 seasons earlier, no one would have thought that Ovi will raise Gretzky. And they just played like usual, like team. Some pass, some guy can pass, some guy can shoot. And Kuzi really just had great, 70-80 regular season. He had 27 goals. That's really great numbers. And last 2 seasons, regular seasons, this season he has 12 goals. 12 goals for the whole season. That's not a good numbers for that kind of player. And previous season he had 26. That's great numbers. Let's be honest, that's great numbers. And what did I thought? At the moment when all the Caps players realized that Ovi can break this record, they also realized that they have to play for him. They have to carry the puck for him. And Kuznetsov is not the guy who will carry the puck for someone else, because he just cannot do that. Yeah, he has some great assists. He has some great goals where he just carries the puck all over the rink. But, he's a shooter. He needs great pass to him, and he scores. That's all he can do. And he have been playing with Ovi in the same line for like 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly. I'm not a Caps fan. And just imagine 2 scorers at the one line, and another scorer have to give a pass to the other scorer while he wants to shoot as well. And that's why I think Yevgeniy Kuznetsov is not carrying the puck to the Ovi. And that's why they are playing separate lines right now. They are playing different lines right now. If this whispers is true, because I'm not sure about that, but that's really possible. And that's why Kuznetsov is asking for a trade exactly 2 years. He started to do that when he realized that he has to carry the puck for Ovi. And he just don't want to do that. They are friends, yeah, but they are players. And they have some styles. So that's why I think he asked for a trade. And I guess this trade will happen. This trade will happen next season. And I have 3 teams that I think will really need Yevgeniy Kuznetsov. And I have 3 teams that, as I think, Yevgeniy Kuznetsov will fit very well. So, as the first one, I have New York Islanders. Why? Because in my opinion, Islanders need that kind of finisher. Because all of the players they have, Lee, Horvat, Barzal, Nelson, Clutterbuck even, they are not finishers. They like universal players, mixed players. Barzal is not a finisher. He's just, he's carrying the puck. And he cannot score from the single pass. He can, but he cannot do it usually. So I think Yevgeniy Kuznetsov will fit them so well, and maybe if they will trade for the Kuzi, they will have some chance to make the playoffs even further than the second round, because Kuznetsov is really great player, and I like him so much, even though there was those stories about his cocaine and so on, but he's a really great player. And he's experienced, and he can do something on the ice. So I think, this squad of Islanders, and you put Kuznetsov in that squad right now, they will fight for the cup. That's real. They will fight for the cup right now because, they don't have that exactly finisher. Like, Toffoli is, Kuznetsov is, I don't know who else, like, maybe Barkov is. I don't know exactly. But, that's it. But there is a question, what Islanders have to give to the Caps? And I guess that Caps will ask for something big. Maybe they will want Andres Lee. Maybe they will want Brock Nelson or Cal Clutterbuck. But I think that as of right now, Caps need some great playmaker to pass the puck for Ovi. They only have 1 goal right now. Caps don't want to make the playoffs, don't want to really win the cup. They want to make Ovi breaking the record, he retires, and then they are going to rebuild. So if we speak about Islanders, I think they don't have exactly a player that Caps want and Caps need to Ovi break this record. But Andres Lee maybe is the best possible variant. And Lee, I guess, have to go off the Islanders because, he won't win the cup with the Islanders, and Islanders need to trade him. Yes, he's a captain of the team, but he's not that good. He is a good player, but it's not enough to be a really good team leader, in my opinion. So the second team that I think Kuznetsov will fit well is Los Angeles Kings. Why? They have really great players. Kopitar, Kempe, and so on, but they also don't have the exact shooter, and that's why I think Kuznetsov will fit them well, and in my opinion Kuznetsov can carry them to the cup, because Kings is really great team. They have great defensemen, they have great offense, but Kuznetsov is like the last piece of that puzzle, in my opinion. And there's also a question, who can Kings give to the Caps? And I don't think that they will do something good in that aspect, because they have some really good players, but they won't give them to the Caps if they want to win the cup. I mean, Kempe, Arvidsson, they won't give it to them. So they will have to give some picks, some prospects, and that's what Caps need, in my opinion. They want to have for the Kuzi some prospects to make rebuild better, faster, and Kings will lose their future in that trade. I know that Kings is not going to pay for Kuzi like their whole future prospects, but they will have to pay some. I mean, two prospects and two good draft picks. That's what they will have to do. So, in my opinion, Kings can give it a try. They can give it a try to trade for the Kuzi. And the last team, in my opinion, who can Kuznetsov fit well is Canes, Carolina Hurricanes. They have great attackers like Nechas, Aho, Teravainen, Sveshnikov. They have great defensemen, Nechas, Pesce, I don't know how to pronounce his surname. And they have great goaltending. But they don't have something like experience, and Kuzi can bring it to them. But there's also a question, what Canes will give to the Caps? And in my opinion, they can give some, Teravainen, why not? Because Teravainen is a playmaker, in my opinion. And as I see him play, I really think that he's a playmaker. And he's a playmaker, and he can carry the puck right to the OV. But there is one thing, in my opinion. Teravainen won't do that, because in the new team, he would like to show himself at his best, and he will shoot, he will carry, he will handle and try to shoot, but not a pass. But if they will say it to him, maybe he will. All of the players that Caps have right now, they will do whatever it takes for Ovi to him to break this record. But new players, they don't have that, genetics of the Caps. They don't have that mind of a Caps player, and maybe they will think like, why we can just play normally and win some games instead of playing for Ovi and lose the games. I don't know. So Canes, Kings, and Islanders, three teams that I think Kuznetsov will fit well. And how do I think? Will this trade happen or no? In my opinion, it will happen, but not so soon. They won't trade him at the beginning of the next season. They will trade him maybe under the deadline. I don't know. But to be honest with you, I was shocked with that information, because I thought that Kuzi is happy with the Caps. But as we see, he's not happy. And also, I'd like to say that I would like to see Kuznetsov as a Flame, because I think he would do some difference. Because I like this player. He's a great player. He's funny, and he can do something on the ice. And with the Flames, I would like to see him, because one of my favorites player in the whole NHL with my favorite team. That's really great. And there's also a question, what Flames have to give to the Caps in the trade, and I don't know, because if we speak about prospects, Flames have some, but they won't give it to the Caps. And some players, Kadri, Huberdeau, and I don't think the Flames will trade them because of their new contracts. They signed it only last year. So that's all I gotta say. So that was last topic for today. Thank you for listening. Hear you soon.